Wow, China and the US have now come to an agreement to drop all tariffs down to 10%. However, this is based on a 90-day pause period, I guess, until they can negotiate further. And it is incredible to see these two big nations coming to an agreement finally. And yes, it's good news. Trust me, you don't want them hating on each other. You don't want it. None of us want it. I'm so grateful that they all came to an agreement. Yes, very, very good. Let's see how long it'll last.
April 8th, I made a video about the stock market rising and world leaders calling President Trump to negotiate after his first round of tariffs. And so many people were so mean, saying that I had no clue what I was talking about.
Look, you guys, the markets are stabilizing this morning. The S&P is up 3%. World leaders are calling President Trump to negotiate to reduce tariffs. And you might not have to worry about buying that pea-based guacamole after all.
And then on April 23rd, I made a video about what I thought the strategy was between President Trump and Xi Jinping and how they were actually coordinating together to make a really great deal for both countries. And I was also called stupid in my comments on that video too. And now come to find out it's May 12th and all of that happened and it's happening.
Trump's new deal with China is even better than everyone had anticipated, and it's causing markets around the world to skyrocket. Simultaneous announcements from the White House and Beijing are detailing a new trade deal that was recently struck in Geneva, causing stocks in the US and China to both pop up by nearly 3%.
So yeah, I guess I don't know what I'm talking about, but God bless America.
So it looks like we have an agreement in principle with China. The U.S. agrees to keep a 30% tariff. Yes, I know it's a tax on U.S. So for you guys jump out the woodwork, stop. China agrees to put 10% tariffs on their goods. Here's the reality, though. China was the linchpin. China was the linchpin. And while you were so busy, wrapped up in politics, did you put more money to work is the question. Were you accumulating stock instead of looking at the narrative, chasing it like a dog with a bone? You have to understand that it's not about the politics. What are we here for? The profits. How do we profit? Long-term investing. What do? We take advantage of discount shopping. When do we do it? Anytime you give us an opportunity. The market participants were yelling, it's bad, it's horrible. We shouldn't be buying. The market is going down and everything was doom and gloom. And the tariffs are going to cause a recession. Understand something. I said it last week. TikTok. We might actually see a deal faster than we thought. I didn't know, right? But I also knew that this was very important, right? But the reality behind it is, now that it's here, this clears the way for other deals. So a lot of people, enough is never enough. So UK was too easy. They run a surplus, not really a deal make, right? But then what do we say about China, right? So when you think about China, it's the polar opposite, which makes all of the naysayers go away, because I said focus on the framework, not the deal. Focus on the velocity. They have to do something. They have to, because you have to look at it. There are approximately 34 million small businesses, right? Now, if they depend on China for shipping, I don't know how many and what that percentage is, but it could definitely hurt their businesses because they're not going to be able to import at the tax that was presently standing. When you think about how many people does that affect, well, let's think about it this way. 208 million people are able to work. Out of the adults, I should say, out of the 208 million adults in the U.S., 62.6% is the participation rate. So that's about 62.6% participation rate, about 130 million workers. Out of that does include people who are looking for jobs as well. So you have about 125 million people actually working. You know how many people the small businesses employ? Just about approximately 49 million of the $125. So if you think about it from that standpoint, if they can't afford to be in business, how does that affect unemployment? And if unemployment goes up, inflation goes up, then we can have a recession. Think about it from that standpoint. They're not stupid. I don't know too many stupid billionaires, okay? I know a lot of people with an opinion that are 1,000aires, right? But not too many stupid billionaires. So when you really understand the economy and what's happening, it's all part of a plan. And whether you believe it's not a plan or it is a plan, well, here's the reality. My plan was to buy stocks on discount. And it looks like the plan for my family is paying off.
Let's talk about soybeans. Trump's tariff, who's really losing here. While US and China were busy throwing tariff at each other, China quietly locked a huge soybean deal with Brazil. On May 13th, China and Brazil signed 20 big agreements, including boosting Brazilian soybean exports to China. And to make it even easier, China lifted bans on 5 Brazilian exporters, clearing the way for companies like Cargill and ADM to start shipping again. And they're doing it with a green badge now, certified deforestation-free soybeans. So it's cheaper, cleaner, and now China getting 70% of its soybeans from Brazil. Meanwhile, over America, even after the 90-day truce, US soybeans are still slapped with 10% tariff. Analysts says US exports could drop 20% this year. Guess who getting the hit hardest? American farmers. The same farmers who backed Trump and his tariff war. Now, they're stuck with fewer buyers and lower price. For sure, there's gonna be some government bailouts, but where those money came from? Every time you shop at Target, Walmart, part of your spending help fund those bailouts. Because that's how tariff works. They don't punish other countries. They circle back and hit your wallet. So after all this chaos, China locked in more stable, sustainable suppliers, Brazil laughing all the way to the bank, and American farmers, they are left holding the bag. There's no winner in trade war. Please follow, like, and share. Thank you very much.
Breaking news, they're on again, off again, on again, off again. The United States and China have agreed to a 90-day pause on the new tariffs as shipping to U.S. ports completely plummeted. U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports will be cut from 145% to 30%, while Chinese tariffs on U.S. imports are going to be cut from 125% to 10%. Once again, Donald Trump is trying to solve a problem of his own making. And Trump and his supporters are once again doing this meme where Trump says, I'm adding tariffs, and his followers go, this is great, it's going to create jobs. Then Trump says, I'm removing the tariffs, and they go, this is the art of the deal, and the process repeats. Let me just ask this. If these tariffs are so good and are going to bring so many jobs to the United States and are going to make us so rich, then why would you get rid of them? And in the interim, while there's all this market manipulation, the market's going up, the market's going down, you know who suffers? The businesses who are forced to deal with all of this economic uncertainty. And as Trump caves once again, remember that this is just another effort to try to stop the bleeding. As I said in the beginning, the ports have already been emptied out. There are far fewer shipments coming into the U.S. as is. So this is going to take a little bit to reverse. We're going to continue to follow everything here at Midas Touch, so make sure you're following our account and add the Midas Touch podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
All right, you guys, I don't know if you've heard it yet, but yes, China and America has come to an agreement. What does that mean? That means interest rates will be going down. What does that mean for those of you who waited? You're going to pay more for the houses. I tried to tell y'all. I tried to tell you. I'm going to wait till the rates go down. Baby, let me tell you something. You're supposed to already be in the house when the rates go down. You can buy it when the rates are up, if you can afford it, of course. But be in there already, because it's your house. All you got to do is refinance it. But a lot of the money is not moving in the United States because people are afraid. And again, I'll stop. I knew it was going to happen because, again, it's too much hinged upon this trade deal. They said in July our shelves were going to be completely empty. Well, now everybody's back to work. If you got a trucking company, your husband drives trucks or you drive trucks. I don't want to sound sexist. Just know you're back to work. Everything is about to move again. This economy will be picking up. It is time to get a house, okay? So the trade deal has been worked out. I don't know all the particulars, but y'all know I will be coming back to you guys with the particulars and how that affects housing. But I do know the fact that there is an actual agreement that both parties are happy with. I can't wait to see what the market's going to do tomorrow. I just can't wait. So I wish I had bought some stuff while the market was crazy, because a lot of people are going to have, and that's another thing, a lot of people are going to have some dividends because it's going to increase so volatile with the market being, moving again. So yeah, this trade deal has come together, and I look forward to you guys coming to my home buyer classes, because now, you guys are ready to buy. I make you no promises that we will be able to find you a house immediately, like I can right now, right? I make you no promises, but we will do our best. I've sold in COVID. It can't be worse than COVID. So that's the good part. Like, it can't be worse than COVID. So, but I will say this, the value of homes are going to increase because, again, the money is back moving, which will, help the economy and more than likely decrease the interest rates. At least that's what I project. I'll say that. Let me project that. But give me a call. 770-896-1398, 470-261-2560.
Have you ever watched a guy pick a fight, throw the first punch, get hit back, only then to claim that this is all part of a plan? Well, President Trump starts a trade war with China, slaps over 100+% tariff like he's playing Mortal Kombat, finished them style, only then to call back and settle down at 10%. Meanwhile, China throws a punch right back, matches the tariff, and guess what? No consequences. While the UK bent over backward, promised to buy American beef, ethanol, bonus jets, basically sold their soul just for the same 10% that China say not to and matches the energy, and still walked away with face. Now President Trump's probably on Truth Social, bragging about how he saved the economy, but let's be real here. China got the deal and the dignity. Now, the biggest winner out of this whole trade war? Probably President Trump's brokerage account, while the biggest losers are anyone who actually believed in his no mercy bluff. Like, this whole trade war is more like a Trader Temdrum with tariff involved.
A deal has been made. But what happened with Donald Trump doesn't have the cards? China doesn't have to sell to the US because they can sell to somebody else. Well, if that was true, then they wouldn't care about the trade deal with the US. And now there's a deal. Chinese imports will be cut to 30% from 145%. And Chinese levies on the US imports will be cut to 10% from 125%. And US and China agrees to slash reciprocal tariffs in major step toward easing trade war. But Donald Trump doesn't have the cards. China's gonna win. China's not gonna back down. And you know what's crazy to me is that all these people that were against Donald Trump here in the US live in the US. Imagine living here in the US and you going against your country. But what are your honest thoughts on this? What do you think is the next step from here? And my real question is, what do the left people and the left media have to say about this? What now? Because what Donald Trump is doing is working. But as always, don't forget to follow for more news and finance information. God bless.
We're just getting word of some breaking news coming in. The U.S. and China just announced a deal when it comes to trade between our two countries, a trade deal of sorts. It looks more like a pause right now. The U.S. and China announcing that it is a 90-day pause on tariffs between our two countries. They're calling it a pause, but really it's just a lowering of tariffs, a reduction. It was 145% tariff on Chinese goods coming into the country. It is now a 30% tariff on goods coming from China, a 10% tariff on U.S. goods into China during this now 90-day agreement. So obviously this is meant to cool the tensions between the U.S. and China right now, which is a good thing. We'll have to see the effects. We'll get details here probably shortly. But again, breaking news, a deal has been reached between the U.S. and China.
China and the US have a trade deal, and I think I know what it's about. It was very fast. They solved the trade deficit, and to me that can only mean one thing. As we all know, China is mostly exporting to the US and not importing that much. If you want to solve a trade deficit, that means either China is going to buy a lot of things from the US, which is very unlikely, or China is not going to sell anything to the US anymore. And that's the only thing that makes sense. So China just said, well, with all those tariffs, we found other partners. We are selling to Canada, we are selling to Europe, we are selling in other Asian countries, and we are not going to sell to you anymore. And of course, the White House is making this like as an achievement that they achieved a really quick deal that is solving the trade deficit. But it basically means that China said, F you, US, we are not dealing with you anymore. Bye bye. If you like this video, please follow me and give me a like as well.
I want you to watch what happens when you let fear make your investment decisions. So today was an incredible day in the stock market and for the economy as a whole. Investors cheered on a 90-day tariff truce between the US and China. Under the new trade agreement, the US is dialing back tariffs on Chinese goods to 30% from the 145% that it was before, while China is lowering its tariffs on American imports to 10%, which was previously 125%. This truce eases pressure on global trade and fuels hope that a larger deal might follow. Meanwhile, NRG Energy surprised Wall Street with strong earnings and a bold move. A $12 billion deal to expand its natural gas business, sparking a nearly 25% jump in their stock. It might not seem like it right now, but just a few weeks ago, investors were running for the hills, and most banks like Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan were calling for a US recession. This is your lesson that markets can shift and market recoveries can be sudden, strong, and impossible to time. Staying invested means you're around to catch the upswing. So many investors pulled their money out or stayed on the sidelines because they let their fear take over their logical mind, and they've missed weeks of a very strong recovery. Overall, markets went up for the day.
Trade war update. United States and China just made a move, and it's big news for businesses. After 2 intense days of talks in Geneva, both countries reached a preliminary agreement to ease the trade tension. United States leaders said they made substantial progress. China is agreeing to reopen discussions and talk more regularly. President Trump called it a total reset for the United States-China trade relationship. Now, this doesn't mean that tariffs are gone, but they are starting to move in the right directions. Markets are already reacting. Stock futures are rising. Businesses are watching closely. So what does this mean for you? If you import from China or shop for deals online, stay tuned for more changes to come. Like and follow for updates what this trade deal means for you and your wallet.